Hello friends, you'll never guess where I am. Oh, that's right, we're on the Arizona Trail again. So, back during my thru hike last fall, I ended up skipping a portion of the trail due to a fire closure. When there's a fire burning through an area, obviously you can't go frolicking through it. So there was some debate as to whether or not the closure was still in effect when I came through. It was definitely still listed on Guthook. But because of that reroute, they had us taking the Flagstaff City Trail. But around that same time is when I completely jacked up my knee. See that video if you want to see the context. So I'm now filling in that closure. Gonna be going over the next few days. These next 2 days I'm doing like 20 miles or so with my pack on and everything. And then I'm going down through Walnut Canyon and all of that area, which you're not allowed to camp in. And there isn't much water there. So I'm gonna be probably day hiking a couple of those days. But we're filling in about 40 miles of the Arizona Trail altogether. And right now we just started from the Snowbowl Rd, and we're gonna be ending up tonight at Schultz Tank is the goal. I drove up from the valley today, and surprisingly the altitude isn't completely destroying me. And it is 4:22 right now. I just got started hiking about 30 minutes ago. So we definitely got a really late start today. It's about a 3-hour drive from my house to get up here. So we did that drive, and then my parents were gonna be camping with some friends at the Pine Grove Campground. So I just kind of bummed a ride with them up here, told them to kick me out at the trail, and I'll see them in a little while. So they're probably gonna be picking me up from trail close to Walnut Canyon tomorrow afternoon. So today we're doing 7 miles to get to Schultz Tank, which is the nearest water to me. Then tomorrow we're hoping to pull close to 16 miles because we're going to be covering a lot of the trail that's right close to Flagstaff. I don't really want to camp like right next to the I-40 or anything like that. It'd be noisy and not exactly what I'm in backpacking for. So probably gonna day hike after that, as I said. So there's a little rambling intro about what the heck I'm doing out here. I'm super excited to get on trail. This is my first backpacking trip since March, and today it's July 13th, so it's definitely been a while. It's been like 4 months since I've gotten a good backpack trip in because of all the crazy COVID and quarantine stuff. I figure at least now the Arizona Trail is a pretty good place to social distance. So I haven't seen anyone yet today, and I've done about 2 miles already. Really just loving it. I'm so happy just to be out in the woods again, out exploring and being with Mother Earth. All right guys, we're about 5.5 miles in for today. About 2 more-ish to go. Depends if you trust the signs with the GPS. Just saw 2 huge, they were either mule deer bucks or bull elk. They're kind of far away. I'm kind of leaning towards that they were mule deer. There were two of them with huge racks in full velvet. Pretty beautiful. Sadly, this camera, you know, because it's that wide angle lens, you can't really capture things that are kind of far away. So I didn't get it on this camera, but I got one on my phone, and I'll take a look at it later and give a more definite description of what they were. But just 2 huge 4-legged mammals with giant racks. They were at least a 4x4 or 4x5. Some big antlers. Absolutely beautiful. Only the 2 males, no females, hanging out with them. We're starting to get closer to mating season. That's usually in the fall, and it's summer right now, so they have a few more months with those antlers growing, and then they're gonna scrape off the velvet, because believe it or not, antlers are actually bone that's built into the skull, and obviously that bone sheds each year, and when they go to grow it back, it actually grows kind of like this. It looks like velvet. It's this soft fur like looking fuzzy stuff that covers the whole antler as it grows, and that shows that there's blood vascularity helping transport nutrients to allow growth of those antlers. Just for me, imagining, like, if those things grow every year, that has to take so many calories and so much different stuff to grow that. Those animals have to be eating like all the time, I bet. Just crazy to think about. It'd be like snapping off your leg every year and growing it back. Like, that doesn't sound to make much sense, but apparently, according to their evolution, the advantage that it gives them during mating season, it's worth the investment. Just got done filling up at Schultz Tank. Gonna keep hiking for a little bit longer. I actually had some trouble with my water filter. It's not putting water through. I think I might just need a really good back flush. And the water from Schultz Tank was kind of silty, but there's plenty of it. We'll see how it tastes after I get through the filter. But now I'm just getting a little further down the road. I'm carrying water in these bags. That's kind of one of the perks of the Sawyer Squeeze. If you have a smart water bottle, or you carry some of the bags, they, you know, you can just carry the dirty water and filter it when you need it. So I'm taking advantage of that right now. So I'm carrying the water to my camp spot, wherever that's going to be. I still need to find it, and then we'll be setting up camp. It's funny. So you see how bright it is out right now. It's not too awful. I'm still wearing my sunglasses and I can see just fine. And believe it or not, it's almost 7 p.m. It's like 6:50 right now. Back when I was doing my thru hike, by this time it was like dark. You had like the last little bit of light coming over the horizon at 6 p.m. when I was hiking. So it's definitely nice to have a little bit more time to get your miles in, especially a day like today where I got such a late start. But we made it to our goal, and now it's time to find somewhere cozy to chill out for the night. Just passed by a sign that said warning burn area, and as you can, I don't know if you can make it on the GoPro actually, but that whole hillside over there is charred, and then obviously right behind me here, all this is decimated. There, as I said, you know, it's part of the life cycle, but burns from lightning before humans impacted everything would generally burn a lot smaller of an area. But now, actually, because of things like Smokey Bear and other ways of only you can prevent forest fires, there's been a lot of fuel that's been able to build up in our forests. And because of our active management of them, including burns and harvesting and everything, it sets it up for this weird problem where some areas are so thin that they're not going to be affected, and then other areas are so thick that if one spark goes off there, it can get straight up into the canopy, and then that's the kind of fire that just burns thousands and thousands of acres. There's no stopping that. So it used to be able to manage itself, but now, because of all the other variables that are involved, that balance has kind of been thrown off. Will result in things like that. Nature doesn't care, man. It's gonna do what it's gonna do. Ooh. So I was hiking downhill for a while, but now I'm hiking uphill. Oh, this beautiful view, check it out. Something tells me I'm not going to find a camp spot for a little bit. The wind is definitely also worse in this burn area because there isn't anything to impede it. So we're gonna hopefully get somewhere where there's a little more cover, and obviously somewhere that isn't at an angle, because trust me, camping, like sleeping on an angle, it's not fun. If you ever experience it, you'll know. Even the slightest angle. So we're gonna try and find a good flat spot. Hopefully at least start getting that also. Oh, 2 elk right here. Let's see if we catch up to them. There's some big animals. All of a sudden I look to my right and big elk butt in my face. Dang. But that's another purpose that the fires fulfill for the ecosystem. They create our meadows and grasslands. They make room for them. So there's more feed for things like elk and deer. Oh, there goes. And so they have a lot more food up here. That's probably why we're seeing them. I think this is, oh, down there. I think this is more elk than I saw when I was doing it. Actually, those are mule deer. I take it back. Okay, here's that burn area. And as you can see, more grass is coming in. So that's better for the deer and elk. There's actually a really cool case where up on the north rim of the Grand Canyon, there was a huge burn that happened there in 2006 or 2007. And they have one of the largest mule deer herds in the country up there, actually. And after the burn, the herd just blew up in population. It got even bigger, which is crazy. It's one of those cases where, you know, on the front end, you're thinking, oh no, the forest is burning down. This is horrible. But then after a few years, you can see how it starts to repair itself, and that's a really cool story. And it shows, you know, back before humans were intervening, what that was for and how nature would repair from it rather. Wow, just gorgeous. Well, friends, as you can see, just got done setting up the tent. I need to stake it still. Hence why I'm afraid of this wind sound right now. Almost blew away a second ago. I'm probably not going to sleep with the fly on because it's supposedly like 15 degrees above the dew point tonight. Yes, I did learn my lesson from when I almost froze to death up here last time. You can see that video up here if you really want to. That happened up at Babbitt Ranch. I saw even more deer after I talked to you guys. It's absolutely crazy. I think I've seen more deer now than I did on the entire AZT just today. Probably because I wasn't singing my music to the mountains. I was enjoying the nature as much as I could. But I found this little spot, kind of cleared out. Kind of looks like it might be an anthill too, though. We'll see in the morning. I'm kind of taking a chance, but it's like the only flat spot for like miles around that I could find that I'm like, oh, there's a good flat spot. And there aren't giant boulders, so double win. I'll talk a little bit more about why the geology here is so intense tomorrow. It all has to do with volcanoes though. So I'm going to finish staking this down, probably find a snack, and then hang a bear bag. And I'll talk to you guys once I'm settling down in the tent. Good evening, friends. Just getting ready to call the night. It's been a beautiful night. It's now 11 p.m. and I'm seriously just hanging out. I don't even need my extra layers at all. It's really nice out, like perfect weather. It's a clear night. I took some awesome photos. I can't wait to show you guys. And hopefully this time lapse I'm about to do turns out as well. It's been a beautiful day and I'm really grateful that I got to take the opportunity to come out here and finish this part of the trail and, you know, get out of the house a little bit. You know, the COVID stuff the social distancing is just as fun as being out on trail completely isolated. So if I'm going to be completely alone, I might as well have some fun doing it, right? So, yeah, gonna call it a night. Oh, I took my watch off. I was about to check the time. It is 10:58. I'm getting up at 4:45. This is the price of, wow, there's a big bug over there. This is the price of star photography and night photography. There are 2 of them now. I'm gonna call it a night now so we can get hiking tomorrow morning. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Good morning, friends. Made it through the night. Sun's just coming up back there. You can see it. I just was getting done back flushing my filter. Started filtering some water. It looks like one of these water bags has a leak in it. And it got some water all over the tent. Fortunately, my sleeping bag and my sleeping pad really didn't get hit, but there was a good puddle over there. So that's not fun. And this Sawyer squeeze is, you know, I back flushed it like 4 or 5 times, you know, trying to spare some of my water, but probably put like a little less than 1/4 of a liter into it, just back flushing it. And it's still going so slow. So slow, in fact, that I ended up popping this bag. That's why you always carry a spare, guys. Just weird. Fortunately, this is the only night that I'm going to be like doing my whole self-supported thing. Oh, hi, bug. It looks like a bee of some kind. Hopefully he makes his exit. But I've put about 2 liters of water in my bag so far. And I guess I got to make the call whether or not that's going to be enough water for me, if I'm comfortable with that. Because if I backtrack just a slight bit, like 1/10 of a mile, there's a off trail. It's like a 1/2 mile to a water spigot, like city water spigot. Or am I gonna have enough water to just I don't know, make it work today? We got like 13.5 miles to cover, but I know after my first mile or 2 it's gonna be a lot more exposed, and it's definitely gonna be a little toasty today. Yesterday it was warm, you know, mid 80s. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna just try it, and hopefully it goes well. There might be another water source like a mile from me here, so like down the trail. No one's really talked about it though on Gut Hook since June 11th, and today it is the 14th of July. So that information is like a month old, and I definitely know that they had snow melt still on some of these mountains a month ago. So if I was a betting man, that's probably not there. It's the tricky part about pretty much any outdoor sport, is you gotta make the decision and sit with it, whatever you choose, and that might end up being something very uncomfortable, or you think you have enough and turns out you don't. But gotta do what you gotta do. All right, friends, we're back out on trail now. It was a bit of a task getting the tent all packed up. There was a puddle of water in the bottom of it. Tried to shake it out, and I think I just got more of it wet. Kind of a mess, but I'll definitely have to set that up at base camp tonight, but that's okay. It'll probably be good for it to air out a little bit, get some of that AZT stank out of it. So anyway, this is kind of to my south right now. That's Mount Elden. We'll have a better look at it later today once I get around the south face. This north face is a lot more gradual, whereas the south face has big jagged rocks. And as I was saying yesterday, there's a really cool story. Apparently, this entire mountain was built in a few months. With an M, months. Isn't that nuts? We'll talk a little bit more about that as the day progresses, but I'll leave you with that one. So there's part of Mount Elden, and you can kind of see how it's made up of similar granite as we see like right next to me on the trail. And that type of magma is extremely viscous, so it's very thick. And due to that, while the hot spot was underneath this mountain, it slowly pushed the lava up out of the surface. It didn't really ever erupt, but it kept flowing. Kind of a weepy volcano. And over the course of a few months, geologists believe that whole structure was formed. Obviously, this was a long time ago, probably on the order of millions of years. So now a lot of these rocks have weathered and rolled downhill and stuff. So you get them like right here. Granite is a good indicator of magmatic activity because a lot of that rock can only form under a magmatic environment. It allows the crystals to grow. If I remember correctly from the Grand Canyon, granite actually has to be underground, so like in an anaerobic environment for it to solidify in such a way. And it's a type of igneous rock, which means it's formed from magma. Similarly, you might know rocks like basalt from like Devil's Postpile in California. That's what happens when magma cools on the surface. And it can oxidize, it turns that really dark color. But all that up there is granite. Another highway tunnel going underneath Highway 89 right now. There's some great airflow through this tunnel right now. It's kind of great. Snap. I think this is the shortest one. Kind of like it though. All right, friends, I was making some good time. I just got to Rio de Flag / Picture Canyon. I was gonna go check out the petroglyphs, but right as I got here, I felt like something started stabbing me in the foot, and I'm like, oh. And I went to adjust my sock, thinking, you know, get some crap out of there, and the boy's got a big blister, so it's time to do some operation. So the game plan for me, since I can't have that pressure going everywhere right now, and it's a little too big to do like the moleskin donut, I'm breaking out the multi-tool and we're gonna pop it. And you know, there's people have opinions about, do you pop it, don't you pop it? I've done both. I found that getting the pressure off of it helps keep it from getting even bigger. And I'm gonna pop it with this knife, with this very shaky blade. Oh boy. Just barely in the side. Just enough to get the fluid to come out. I'll spare you the gruesome details, but you kind of got to push with the knife. It's kind of gross. You'll know when it goes through. Alright, now that the stabbing part's over, let me show you what we're doing here. So I nicked it like right around here, and you can see all that liquid coming off of it. So I'm going to drain it. And yes, I did clean my hands before this, don't worry. So if you pop a blister, you want to leave the skin on, because it can be prone to infection if you don't. And the skin does do a great job to cover it up. That's why you just want to put a little nick in it to reduce the swelling. And then my handy dandy first aid kit. I'd highly recommend this, guys. I talk about my first aid kit in a video right up here if you want to check it out. Stuff's called New Skin. You spray it on there. It's a antiseptic, and then it makes a really hard coating on top of it. So I'm gonna do that. Kind of get it all over. And you gotta let it dry. And it can stain fabric, so you don't want to get it on your socks and stuff until it's dry. So that's what it looks like after it's been all sprayed down. And if you have an open wound, this stuff also works really well, but it can burn. So take a big deep breath before you do it. But it's by far my favorite blister treatment just because of how quick it is. And I'm telling you, that stuff will last for probably 2 days or 3 days. It lasts a long time. It's kind of hard to get off even in the shower afterwards. But so I'm gonna let that dry, and I'll talk to you once I'm back on trail. It's just about done now. So friends, it's kind of cool. Just downstream on the Rio de Flag, like maybe 200 yards from the AZT, there are actually these really cool petroglyphs up on the rock up there. I'm sure you can't really make them out with the camera, but I'll try the other camera and see if that does a little bit better. Here's kind of the images. So there's the water bird, which they believe is a crane, the zigzag, which could be mountains or lightning or water, and then obviously the sun. So that's kind of cool. The water bird is actually a clan symbol for Hopi and Zuni people, apparently. This is literally right off the AZT. If you guys are on your thru hike, seriously do this. It's really neat. Here is the Rio de Flag. As the sign says, the water is not potable. Do not drink this water. Even though it looks very beautiful and clear, this water is coming straight from Flagstaff's wastewater treatment plant. So definitely think twice before you drink it. It's kind of cool how they allow the natural ecosystem to kind of filter the water. Obviously they've gotten a lot of the contaminants out, but not enough to make it completely safe for drinking. But these plants could definitely use the water, and they'll filter out a lot of whatever is left. It'll go and recharge some of the aquifer, and we'll be good. Kind of cool, Flagstaff. Kind of cool. It's around 10:30 now, and I have about 4 or 5 miles left in my day. The reason I haven't been recording very much in the past couple hours is it's literally been a road walk next to a railroad that's highly active and the Interstate 40. It has been super loud, so I've just been bumping my music and getting these miles done. As you can see, it's also very exposed. And yes, it is very warm out. I wouldn't say this is the most difficult passage of the AZT, but I would definitely say it's not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite passage of the AZT. It's just so busy. After walking through all Flagstaff too, it's just very industrial. Not what I'm on trail for, you know? Of course, right as I start complaining, now we get to cross the railway bridge, or obviously the railroad, and then the I-40. So at least it didn't last much longer past my tolerance for it. right, friends, so we got like a mile and a half left, and I just ran out of water. You know, what I was saying about those calculated risks earlier, well, cut it close, that's for sure. I didn't exactly anticipate walking through broad rangeland like this. I thought it would at least be a little covered with junipers. So that was my miscalculation. And now I have to deal with those consequences. Fortunately, I should be off trail within the next hour or so. So I'm not like stressing about it. I definitely had closer calls when I was doing my full through hike. Like in General Cook Canyon. It was like, okay, there better be water at the bottom of this hill or else I'm gonna have to hike 8 miles without water. Definitely not one of those situations. If you wanna see that video, it's up in the corner though. But calculated risk, guys. You know, it's not like I can hike back the 10 miles I've hiked to go to that water spigot now, but so it goes. We'll get her done and we'll chug plenty of water at the base camp tonight. All right, friends, so we're gonna be approaching Walnut Canyon National Monument. The trail is gonna be crossing a road just north of the gate to get in there. And that's where I'm gonna get scooped for today. But Walnut Canyon is actually a really cool spot because it's a site with a bunch of cliff dwellings that belonged to the Sinagua tribe, or the Sinagua people, as we call them. What Sinagua means is no water. As you can see, definitely not much water around. I've never personally been to Walnut Canyon yet. That'll be changing tomorrow, but I'm fairly certain the bottom of the canyon is only a seasonal spring, or a seasonal creek, and people really aren't sure how they did so well without water. It's kind of one of those mysteries. Maybe someone else has a good answer, and if you do, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to learn about it a little bit more. But it's one of the several native tribes that have called this land home. Pretty crazy. Those petroglyphs that we were looking at earlier today in Picture Canyon, those were from the Sinagua people as well. So they're definitely in this area. It's kind of weird to think about. Before the city was here, before anything, you know, this is pretty much what it looked like when the Sinagua people inhabited this area. So I don't know, it's kind of cool to get in that mind space and just think about that a little bit, you know, ponder it.